The Cat Who Wanted to Fly a Kite. Once upon a time, in a small bustling town nestled between rolling green hills and sparkling blue rivers, there lived a curious little cat named Oliver. Oliver wasn't just any cat. His fur was soft as clouds and as white as fresh snow, except for a single spot on his nose that looked like a heart. His eyes sparkled with a deep shade of emerald green, always alive with dreams and wonder. Oliver loved to climb, leap and explore, but most of all, he loved to watch the kites that soared high above the town square every spring. Every year, when the weather turned warm and the wind danced through the streets, the townspeople would gather in the park to fly their colourful kites. The sky would become a patchwork of reds, blues, yellows and purples, fluttering and swooping in the breeze. Oliver would sit on the highest branch of his favourite oak tree, his tail swishing with excitement, his eyes following every dip and swirl. But one thing always tugged at Oliver's heart. He wished, more than anything, that he could fly a kite too. He longed to feel the wind tugging at the string and to watch his own creation soar among the clouds. But of course, cats didn't fly kites, or so everyone said. One bright morning, as the sun painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, Oliver woke up with a big idea. Why couldn't a cat fly a kite? If he could climb trees and balance on fences, surely he could learn to fly a kite too. Determined, he set out into the town, his heart beating with excitement. Oliver's first stop was the old wooden bench by the bakery, where his best friend, Ruby the rabbit, was munching on a carrot muffin. "Ruby!" Oliver called out, his voice bubbling with excitement. "I want to fly a kite. Will you help me?" Ruby's ears perked up, and she twitched her nose thoughtfully. "I've never seen a cat fly a kite before, Oliver, but if anyone can do it, it's you," she said with a grin. Together, Oliver and Ruby set off to gather everything they would need. They visited Mrs. Finch, the clever crow who lived atop the clock tower, and asked for advice. "To fly a kite, you'll need a strong frame, a big piece of paper or fabric, and a long, sturdy string," Mrs. Finch cawed, adjusting her tiny spectacles. "And of course you'll need the wind." So, with a list of supplies, Oliver and Ruby went from house to house, collecting sticks, colourful scraps of cloth, and the longest ball of twine from Ruby's burrow. By midday they had everything they needed. Back in the park, Oliver and Ruby got to work. They tied sticks together to form the frame, stretched bright blue fabric across it, and attached a tail made of old ribbons. Their kite looked wonderful, with patches of green, orange and gold that shimmered in the sunlight. When everything was ready, Oliver took a deep breath and grasped the string tightly in his paws. He felt a flutter of nerves. What if he couldn't do it? But Ruby smiled at him and cheered. "You can do it, Oliver." Oliver waited for a strong gust of wind. The trees swayed, the grass rustled, and suddenly, whoosh! The wind swept across the park. Oliver ran as fast as his little legs could carry him, letting out the string behind him. The kite lifted off the ground, fluttered, and then soared high into the sky. Oliver's heart leapt with joy. He felt the wind tugging at the string, and for a moment, it felt like he was flying along with his beautiful kite. The townspeople stopped to watch. Children clapped and parents smiled. Even Mrs. Finch swooped down to take a closer look. But then something unexpected happened. The wind grew stronger, tugging harder at the string. Oliver gripped it tightly, but his paws began to slip. Suddenly, the kite swooped and looped, and before anyone could stop him, Oliver was lifted off the ground. Up, up, up he went, clutching the string, his eyes wide with surprise. The world below grew smaller as he soared higher and higher, his whiskers tingling in the cool breeze. Ruby watched with wide eyes, hopping up and down in worry and excitement. Oliver floated above the park, above the rooftops, above the clock tower where Mrs. Finch perched. He saw the river glistening in the sunlight, the fields stretching out like a patchwork quilt, and all of his friends looking up at him. At first Oliver was scared, but then he looked around and realised how beautiful everything was from up high. He felt brave, adventurous, and free. He remembered his wish to soar with the kites and realized it was coming true in the most magical way. As the wind began to calm, the kite drifted gently back toward the ground. Oliver held on tight, closing his eyes as he floated softly down, landing right in the middle of the park. Everyone cheered. Ruby ran to hug him, and Mrs. Finch swooped down with a proud caw. "I did it!" Oliver purred, his heart full of happiness. "I really flew a kite!" All the animals gathered around, asking questions and marveling at Oliver's adventure. From that day on, Oliver was known as the cat who not only flew a kite, but who dared to dream big and try something new. Each spring, when the wind called the kites to the sky, Oliver would fly his own, with Ruby by his side and Mrs. Finch watching from above. And every time, he remembered the magic of believing in yourself and the joy that comes from chasing your dreams, no matter how high they may soar. And in the town beneath the rolling hills and sparkling rivers, the story of Oliver, the cat who wanted to fly a kite, was told and retold, inspiring every little heart to dream, to try, and to let their hopes soar as high as the brightest kite in the sky. So whenever you see a kite dancing in the wind, remember Oliver the cat, and know that with a little courage, a good friend, and a big dream, anything is possible. The end. But wait, a story doesn't just end with one adventure. For Oliver, every spring brought new dreams and bigger ideas. One year, he wondered, what if I made a kite shaped like a fish? And so he did. The fish kite glimmered in the sunlight, its tail flicking like it was swimming through the clouds. The year after, with Ruby's help, Oliver organized the town's very first kite festival, where animals and people of all kinds came together to fly kites of every shape and color. At the festival, there were kite races, where the fastest kites zipped and zoomed through the air, and a kite parade, where everyone showed off their most creative designs. There was even a prize for the funniest kite, which went to a squirrel who made a kite shaped like a giant acorn. Oliver became a kite-flying expert. He taught kittens and puppies, little birds and even a shy hedgehog how to make and fly their own kites. Hold the string tight, run with the wind, and keep your eyes on the sky, he'd say, and soon your kite will be soaring. But Oliver's favorite part wasn't winning prizes or being the best. It was the laughter, the smiles, and the feeling of togetherness as everyone watched their kites dance in the wind. He loved seeing his friends discover the joy of trying something new, just like he had. One blustery afternoon, as Oliver sat with Ruby under the big oak tree, he looked up at all the colourful kites twirling in the sky. Ruby nibbled on a carrot and asked, "Oliver, what will you dream of next?" Oliver closed his eyes and purred. "Maybe I'll build a kite that can carry a message to the stars, or one that glows in the dark, so the night sky will be filled with colours." Ruby laughed and said, "Whatever you dream, I'll help you make it come true." From that day on, the town sky was never empty. Even on the cloudiest days, you could find Oliver and Ruby working together, building new kites, and sharing their dreams with everyone around them. And so, the legend of Oliver, the cat who wanted to fly a kite, grew with each passing year, reminding everyone that dreams are meant to be chased, and the sky is never the limit for a curious heart. And that, dear listener, is the story of Oliver the cat, the bravest, kindest, and most imaginative kite flyer the town had ever known. So next time you see a kite soaring high above, remember, all it takes is a big dream, a little courage, and a friend by your side to make magic happen. The end.